Hey guys, I'm Sean with LOLOHO. Today we're taking a look at the Sony SE28. This is a 28mm f2 prime lens. Now this lens has no image stabilization, and that's one of the reasons it's so lightweight. It's one of the lightest weight lenses that you can buy for the E-mount system. But of course with an Alpha 7 II, we have in-body image stabilization, so the lens is stabilized thanks to the camera. Now, the first question we all ask about every lens, is it sharp? Yes, this thing is extremely sharp, which was a bit of a surprise considering the price. This is one of the best bargain buys in the E-mount system. I paid around $450 for this FE28. This is a wide angle lens, and there are two adapters available for the lens. The first turns it into a 21mm f2.8 lens. The second adapter is for fisheye purposes.
While useful, these adapters add a great deal of length and weight. In fact, the adapters weigh more than the lens itself. To state the obvious, in some situations the fixed wide-angle focal length is less than ideal. For example, when photographing large, dangerous wild animals. In these situations, you can't, or at least you shouldn't, zoom with your feet. You may not realize it, but this guy's lucky his butt cheek didn't end up dangling from a bison horn.
Build quality is slightly plasticky. I would say it's a little bit more plasticky than the comparable Carl Zeiss lenses in the E-mount line, but it's still quite acceptable, and actually whatever plastic they're using here makes the lens extremely lightweight. The focus ring is a grippy metal which has the slight ridges around the circumference, typical of most of the Sony E-mount line.
Unfortunately, the metal used on the focus ring appears to be rather thin. My copy is already showing some scuff marks.
There is no aperture ring on the lens, sadly, so it's aperture by wire.
Focus also is by wire, but once you find infinity focus, this lens actually works pretty well for astrophotography, especially when paired with one of the wide-angle adapters. The major downside of this lens is distortion, which, if you're shooting JPEG, is corrected in camera. But RAW shooters should be prepared to remove a lot of distortion when post-processing the images.
What you think about this lens may boil down to what you think about the focal length. Personally, I find the 28mm focal length very useful because it's wide enough for landscape, but it's narrow enough for contextual portraiture. And by that I mean, you can take pictures of people, but when you do, you want to make sure that their faces are near the center of the frame, because as you get towards the edge of the frame, especially on a full frame camera, you're going to get some distortion in facial features, and that can be unflattering. So like if you're out on the town, especially at night, the f2 aperture comes in very handy. It's great in low light. I found the lens to be satisfyingly sharp wide open. As you stop it down, it gets progressively more sharp. Now, if you're using a Sony APS-C camera, like the Alpha 6000, this lens becomes a 42mm equivalent on your camera. And that's actually an excellent normal focal length for general walkabout type of photos. And what's wonderful is, since this is a full frame lens, if at some point in the future you decided you wanted to switch to full frame, you'd already have your first lens to start your kit. Now, my only complaint with this lens concerns the color rendition. You can get kind of spoiled by the colors produced by the Sony Zeiss lenses. For example, the FE35 and the FE55 both produce really just wonderful Zeiss colors and excellent micro contrast. This lens is extremely sharp, but sometimes I find the colors just a bit on the cool side. But that's something that can't be improved and fixed in post. So I think that's a relatively minor complaint for what is an excellent value.
Upon reviewing these photos, my concerns about color tend to fade away. Overall, I like the way this lens renders. It's sharp, fast, reasonably priced, and versatile, especially when paired with the optional wide-angle adapters. So if you're shooting Sony E-mount, the FE28 will be a useful addition to your kit. To see more reviews and the latest price of the Sony FE28, simply click the link on the YouTube description for this video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Feel free to leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.
LOLOHO.photo is all about photography. The gear we use, the techniques we employ, and sometimes the places we go. Our emphasis is travel photography, but we cover a little bit of everything here on this channel. It's about getting out there, having fun, and capturing memories. So if you're into photography and travel, be sure to subscribe to our channel and you'll never miss a video.